I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington. I'm an integrative physician, acupuncturist, documentary filmmaker, best-selling author, and international speaker. I help doctors, therapists, coaches, speakers, and authors share their message with the world in the areas of resilience, trauma healing, and self-love. It's all part of my mission to elevate the level of consciousness in our world. After living for years, hiding depression and anxiety, I know how isolated and sickening it feels to be trapped, not living life aligned with your authentic self. As I've shared in my books and TED Talks, music saved my life and set me free from depression. And through a near-death experience and sacred plant medicine ceremonies, I reconnected with my soul and got a whole new vision to live for. Now I combine my media communication experience with my professional expertise in neurofeedback, meditation, and holistic healing in films, on stages, TV shows, and podcasts, in boardrooms and retreat centers around the world. My books, LifeWriting programs, and Brand Mentoring Academy are all designed to empower you to transform, heal, and thrive in business, love, and life. Hello, hello, beautiful soul. How are you doing? Welcome to November and welcome to this special live broadcast about the Hero Collective. I am Dr. Andrea Pennington. So grateful to have you joining. If you're on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, type it into the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching the replay, type into the chat, #replay. We welcome you and honor you. I am super excited. It's November, which means it's time to celebrate my birth in this world. And I get to celebrate with so many beautiful luminaries as well. My dear friend, Dr. Jill Stalker, Karina Virginia, Derek Llewellyn Davies, just to name a few. So I'm super grateful that this is a month of celebration. And I thank you for being a part of that. I also want to thank those of you who have sent me so many warm messages of love and compassion and strength as I and my family got together in the United States for a memorial service for my mother. It was a really special ceremony and experience, and I really did leave with a full heart and so much gratitude and a little overwhelmed because I heard from some of Dr. P's clients and those of you who feel touched by my mom's presence. Getting some of those emails, it was like, oh my God, it would start a flood of tears all over again. But I thank you so much for your presence. It meant the world to me, really. So thank you. We've got Louisville, Kentucky. We've got North Carolina. Welcome. So glad to have you here. So you've probably heard that the other exciting thing about November is the Hero Collective. So what is the Hero Collective, you ask? I know you're curious, right? The Hero Collective is a 12-month membership, which includes group coaching calls hosted by yours truly every month. It also includes an in-depth content and live quarterly masterclasses. So the in-depth content are video modules that you can watch again and again and again with transcripts or download the audio to listen on the go. And this content is going to cover a number of areas, including the hero's journey. I mean, why call it the Hero Collective if you're not going through the hero's journey? We'll also be doing a deep dive into archetypes. These are these aspects of the personality that we all can tap into, like your inner king or queen, or the wounded healer, your inner child. We're also going to be doing guided meditations for healing, all of the life writing exercises that are in my Stories with Soul, which is a workshop that I have hosted here in France and in Denmark and then online. All of that content will be available in the membership month by month, growing and growing and growing. So who is the Hero Collective for? The Hero Collective is for you if you happen to be someone who is discovering or recovering from growing up in a dysfunctional family. If you are healing from trauma, either from childhood or just somewhere in the past. If you happen to feel like you've got some potential to be more or do more and you're not quite sure how to tap into the potential, the Hero Collective will help you do that as well. For those of you who are like confused about your life purpose, join the Hero Collective. This is definitely going to be the place where you can spend the time in this safe container ongoing to do this exploration, this excavation for some of us. For those of you that also want to just learn how to manage your life better, how to manage your stress and your emotions so that you can get more out of life, then we will be doing that on the Hero Collective. Now, some of you may have seen my TED Talk. When I first did my first TED Talk in Monte Carlo, 4 years ago, I had a lot of people who wrote to me and said, okay, I just saw your TED Talk. Become who you are. And the three takeaways from that one were learn who you are, love who you are, and live who you are. And one of the biggest questions that I got from it was, how do I figure out who I really am? Like, I don't know. How do I learn to love myself? Like, I don't know. That's what the Hero Collective is going to help you do. So for those of you who have been following along, you've probably already seen the graphic, but I'm going to pop it in here so that you can see what the Hero Collective looks like. Isn't that pretty? Big shout out to Andrea and Stefan, my graphic design team in Sarajevo. I just love it because we each have this inner hero. Each of us is on a heroic journey of the soul. And as it was beautifully described by Joseph Campbell, who is this American who studied myths and stories and fables across cultures and across centuries, there are these central themes that we human beings go through. We encounter very similar characters, the archetypes that Carl Jung described. And there's this natural progression that we go on from birth to death and maybe the next life. And when we can have an awareness of where we are on that path, we can start to lean into the mentors. We can get clear on our purpose and our values and make this journey a little more peaceful, a little more meaningful. And for me, that is part of the magic of being a human. We humans are part human animal and part human spirit. And that spiritual part of us is where the magic lies. So this, my friends, pointing here, is the graphic for the Hero Collective. And that is what starts this month. It's November. So it's finally here. All right, so what are the outcomes that you could expect if you join us on this 12-month journey in the Hero Collective? Well, I'm going to tell you all of the things that this type of work has freed me from, and it's allowed me to teach and empower my clients to get free from perfectionism. Anybody out there feel this intense need to tweak your projects to infinity, or pushing things to the very last minute, working on things right up until the deadline because you feel like it's not good enough? Well, the Hero Collective will help you work through the source of your perfectionism so that you can become free from it and instead live with more ease, still aiming for excellence, but not getting tripped up by perfectionism. Maybe you're one of my kindred spirits and you've also got issues with procrastination. We're going to deal with that in the Hero Collective. People who procrastinate often have a really harsh inner critic that's telling them, you're not going to be able to do this, it's not going to be right, or they have that perfectionist part that's like, oh, but we need to do more. And so some people will just put it off. They'll put off, starting a new job search, reorganizing things for home, looking for something new, expressing themselves in their job or whatever. This Hero Collective will help you work through some of these problematic behaviors that some of us, we adopted these strategies as children to cope with whatever was going on in our life or family of origin. And so we don't want to shame you for having them. I finally have made peace with this myself, and now I can use certain aspects of my personality as strengths. And that's really what the Hero Collective is designed to do. It's to help you shine a light on your shadow so you can integrate these exiled parts of you, or the parts of you that you've shamed or denied, and start to reinforce the stronger parts of you, or the parts that you want to call forward. If you have ever been plagued by imposter syndrome, the Hero Collective is going to help you overcome that as well. Imposter syndrome is this kind of pervasive feeling that you're not good enough, and that if you put yourself out there, someone's going to find out. Or you show up to work and you're just super scared that someone's going to find out you're not qualified for what you've got, like it's going to be taken away from you. Well, I dealt with that feeling like a fraud, and much of the work that I've done with guided meditations, with internal family systems, and all of the great work from ACA, it's helped me and my clients a lot. So we're bringing that to the collective. If you are someone who has been a people pleaser, kind of looking after everyone else, always being open and available, having zero boundaries, like what's a boundary? We are going to help you with boundaries as well. Ultimately, by participating in the Hero Collective, you're going to come out feeling more free, confident, full of self-love, much more resilient, and stress resistant. So, why the hero's journey? Well, there are two really wonderful things about Hero, and I've shared this in my masterclass about holistic healing. One of the wonderful discoveries by Fred Luthans, who developed a model called psychological capital, PsyCap for short. Psychological capital is this sense of emotional and personal mastery, where you can show up to life and utilize all of your resources to succeed, even when there are challenges. And PsyCap, as described by Fred Luthans, breaks down into four main components. Can you guess what they are? Well, they spell out hero: hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism. And so we're going to be using the psychological framework for developing PsyCap, or psychological capital, and we'll be using Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. Make sense? So this is why I love it. What we're doing is backed by clinical research, but it's also tuning into the wisdom of the human psyche. We are all natural storytellers, but most of us are just not conscious of the stories that are playing in the background, or we keep somehow repeating them over and over and over. Got it? All right. So Sean Lee asks, when do I go online? If you're talking about for the Hero Collective, the live sessions are on the fourth Tuesday of every month, and that will be at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, and that's 1800 hours here in Central Europe. All of the videos will be available in the membership so that you can watch them again and again. So if you miss it live, it's not a problem. And you always have the opportunity to leave comments and ask questions. But another nice thing about the group calls each month that people in our past workshops have really loved is having a safe space to talk, to dialogue, to process. So part of what this curriculum includes is something called the Cornerstone Process, and all these various exercises that are in this book, the Real Self Love Handbook. So if you've gotten this book and you've been working through it, bonus, you now get to work through it stage by stage with me in a group. And that's really, really, really useful, because for most of us, when we're on this healing journey, you're either doing it one-on-one with a therapist, and then maybe you can talk to your friends a little bit, but most of us don't necessarily want to keep wearing out our friends or family. And this is a group that you can feel safe to share, and we're all in the same boat. You know, I don't pretend to be perfect. The things that I have healed from, I share freely. The things I'm still working on, I work on with my therapist. But what we can do is come together and share this common space of healing and love and guidance. And so I thought I would share a little bit about my heroic process and journey. So many of you know that a lot of my insight and inspiration came from watching my mother as a physician and how she operated in the world, always going out of her way to to really tune into what her patients were going through. So I learned a lot about what it is to be a kind, compassionate doctor from my mother. I say that because I went to medical school, but the level of empathy and compassion was not quite what I saw with my mom. And that impacted me a lot because we ended up opening a wellness institute in Maryland. And through that process of kind of watching her and tag teaming, I was doing all the nerdy stuff and Chinese medicine and acupuncture and teaching. It really gave me this comprehensive understanding about how healing works. So for me, when I first started, I graduated from medical school in 1998. And when I opened up my practice, I was still working full-time at Discovery Channel on air, and then was seeing clients in our wellness center. And we started off with what is called an IOP, an intensive outpatient program for eating disorders and addiction. And it allowed me to learn a lot about trauma and how to heal trauma using a holistic and integrative approach. So at our facility, we had a psychiatrist, a psychologist, medical doctors, people trained in what is called bariatric nutrition. So as people were healing from eating disorders or after bariatric surgery, we can get their nutrition on point. We had 2 Chinese medicine practitioners, so with herbs and acupuncture. We had a spa, a workout facility. So all of these things under one roof allowed us to have this multidisciplinary team to look at what was best for each patient going through. And I've covered a lot of this in my book, the Real Self Love Handbook. But what ended up coming out of that research and study was recognizing that on the recovery journey, whether you're recovering from a challenging childhood or a setback in your professional life or a breakup, breakdowns, or burnout, the recovery process tends to follow this very similar path. And as I was looking at that over the years, I realized there are these stages that we go through. And then as I stepped onto this healing path from my own experiences from a somewhat dysfunctional family life, I noticed that even I could get on the healing path. So whether you have addiction or not, or eating disorders or not, or trauma or not, these 5 steps will help you kind of activate whatever that hidden potential is inside of you. And I felt very safe working in a community setting. Not everything was all on me. But part of the hero's journey is hearing a call. It starts off with you're in whatever phase of your life. It could be a mess or it could be great, but then there's some kind of a calling or a rumbling or a feeling that you've got to make a move. You've got to take a step. You've got to do something different. And as I was putting all of these things together, this 5-step process that my patients were on and having my own near-death experience and going on shamanic retreats, I was starting to feel this call to share and to teach. And initially I shut it down. I was like, no. I'm not the therapist. I'm not doing that. That's my mom's gig. I don't want to do that. But I got a call from Dr. Janet Anthony. And if you're watching, Janet, I thank you. Dr. Janet used to have sessions with my mom. And a few years ago, she reached out to me and said, hey, can I call your mom? I'd love to talk to her. And I said, well, she may not remember you because her Alzheimer's was getting to a point where she had just a short window of memory. And I got a second call from Janet saying, you know what? I've been watching your videos and you sound just like Dr. P. That's what we called my mom. And she said, can I get some sessions with you? And once again, no. I refused the call. That's not me. I'm not a therapist. I'm not doing that. No. Total imposter syndrome. I don't feel qualified, right? Ultimately, thank you, Janet, she pressured me to just take what was in my head and my heart, what I'd learned from my mom, what I'd learned from my patients, from some of you, and to put it into a book. And that is ultimately what led to the publishing of the Real Self Love Handbook. So I thought I would show you just a little bit of what the Cornerstone Process is and why it's part of the Heroes Collective. So, the Real Self Love Handbook, 300 pages of goodness, also available on audiobook. What I discovered working with all of these patients was, again, there was this 5-step process for holistic healing, for realizing self-love, for recovering from trauma. And it basically breaks down into 3 phases. Phase 1 is all about awakening. That's learning who you really are. Phase 2 is about transformation. This is about acceptance, accountability, finding forgiveness for others and self, finding compassion, and then ultimately transforming that compassion into self-love. And then phase 3 of the process is about living who you really are, taking inspired action, actually setting up your life, or as we call it, architecting your life. In the final chapters of this book, the Real Self Love Handbook, my very dear friend, Derry Llewellyn-Davies, the Welsh adventurer and business advisor, he and I teamed up to bring forward something called Diamond Life Design, which he had been living by for years and I had been living by in my own way. And it's about really architecting a life in alignment with your core values, in alignment with your vision for yourself and your future, in alignment with what you want to see yourself doing out in the world. And that's what we're going to be doing in the Hero Collective, taking you through each of these phases of awakening, transformation, and learning to love yourself. And then we're going to lead you month by month through each of the top 10 traits of highly resilient people. So this big book here covers each of the 10 traits. So I did a lot of research to figure out why is it that 2 people could have very similar experiences growing up, maybe different parents, but similar experiences, and then they'd have some sort of a hiccup. Something would happen, whether that was a financial setback or a breakup or a health challenge, and one person would wither away and crumble, while the other would thrive. They'd bounce back even stronger. That's what resilience and post-traumatic growth is all about. Well, I started to study it. It first started just for myself because I couldn't figure out, with all of my intelligence, why was I still suffering? Why was I still feeling like an imposter? And why was I feeling like I didn't feel like I was just using fully my potential. I felt boxed in. And when I started this research on resilience, it was for myself. But ultimately, it led to the publishing of this book, to identifying these top 10 traits. And when you have these 10 traits active, you can soar like an eagle, or you can rise like the phoenix that I just got tattooed on my arm. So we're also making a film about resilience, and I've learned so much just from the people who shared their stories in this book, who are also in the film, including Sarah Brandis, Rob Goddard, Dr. Jill Stocker, Sol Whitefire, and myself. And in the next phase of production, we're interviewing some other experts who are in the book and not in the book. But what you'll be able to do is practice doing exercises and then coming back to the group and getting feedback and encouragement to develop a stress-resistant personality. It just happened to be by serendipity, divine blessing, that we published this book last year, right as the pandemic was hitting. This book became an international bestseller. And so I'm really excited that during this Hero Collective, I will walk you through step by step how to live these traits of resilience. These top 10 traits are what keep me going and the people that I work with. So what questions do you have about the Hero Collective? You now know that it is a 12-month group collective membership. It includes live coaching calls with me on Zoom in a group setting, but private, not broadcast on YouTube or anywhere else. And then you also have a video library of many, many lessons And you'll see that it's influenced a lot by internal family systems and Gestalt therapy. These are therapeutic modalities that really help you understand your internal world, how your emotions have been created and these emotional patterns, the different parts of you, the various numbers of inner children. There's not just one. Your inner critic, that part of you that procrastinates, that part of you that might sabotage, that tries to shut things down. So there's a lot of the IFS influence in what we'll be doing in the collective. For those of you that are participating or preparing for psychedelic assisted psychotherapy or sacred plant medicine ceremonies, the collective, this curriculum is ideal for that, for the preparation and the integration of what you might experience in a holotropic state. It's okay if you happen to be in recovery for addiction, eating disorders, emotional eating, codependency. It's totally fine. This does not replace a 12-step recovery group, but it is something that you can do in alignment with that. And if you're already seeing a coach or a therapist, you don't have to stop. This is something that will go very, very nicely with it. I tend to go very deep, so you'll have even more material to work with if you're working in a therapeutic alliance already. The other exciting part is many of the beautiful global luminaries that have supported me by doing interviews in the Real Self Love movement, they will be teaching live masterclasses. So sprinkled out throughout the year, we will have a live masterclass with various global luminaries, including Helena Philipsen from Denmark. She is going to be working with us to really explore some of these behavior patterns and coping strategies that may have served us once in life, but we now want to be free from them. She's got a really wonderful process of coaching and mentoring. Also, the beautiful and wonderful Nicholas Haynes from the Five Institute in the UK. You may have already heard me talk about him in my TED Talks and in my books, but Nick created something called the Vitality Test. The Vitality Test takes you through a questionnaire totally free to identify the 5 energies as described in Chinese philosophy. So whether you are water, wood, earth, fire, or metal, each of these influences actually impact your level of resistance or resilience. So he's going to lead a live masterclass for the Hero Collective, which will also give you an opportunity to ask questions, which everyone always loves, because after you get your profile from the Vitality Test, you want to make sense of it. And he's got a fabulous book about the art of ease and flow in relationships. So, we're just going to be blessed by that. We'll also have a live masterclass around breath work, a masterclass around somatics or body work, because a lot of our trauma recovery and emotional well-being, we need to tune into the body, honor the body, and use the body as a vehicle in our healing. And of course, the archetypes. So learning about the 70 plus archetypes that Carl Jung described, our collective unconscious, we have access to them. And so we will be featuring a live masterclass to help you tune in. All right. Valerie has a question. Is there a lot of journaling involved? Yes. And if so, and we want to keep it private from others, will writing on computer do? Or better to stay device-free? Well, Valerie, that is totally up to you. Yes, this is a writing workshop. That's what it came from originally. All of the writing exercises in my book and in Stories with Soul were intended for people to write. The journaling process is actually helped by physically doing it with pen and paper. There's just something that happens in the brain and the psyche that liberates more energy and information from the subconscious mind. But it's totally fine if you want to do it on a computer. You don't have to enter your notes into our membership portal, and you never have to share what you're writing. But if you do these exercises and you want to share on the meetings, you'll find that it's a safe place to do just that. But you don't have to. There will be plenty of people who do share, and we love it because it allows people to really be seen and be heard and get feedback in a non-judgmental way. And that for many of us is something we never got at home, or we don't feel safe in the workplace. So being able to do that and to share is healing. But I can tell you from the work that started this whole thing off, James Pennebaker, who did this initial work around what is called narrative therapy, many of the students that he had doing this journaling process, they never shared it with anyone. They just did the homework and they got better in terms of physical ailments as well as emotional. So just know that, yes, there's going to be a lot of journaling. There's going to be a lot of, activities for you to do, so that what people have told me about the book is that it's wonderful. It's a handbook. There are lessons, there are exercises, there are things to do. But what some people do is that if they don't speak it or hear about it, it doesn't fully integrate. It just becomes an intellectual understanding. And I want you to really fully embody the most healthy, heroic version of yourself. So that is what we will be doing in the collective. So I hope that excites you. For me, I love it. I love the writing component. Now, I will also say that Stories with Soul was a writer's workshop. So if you are someone who would like to be able to share your personal story someday in a book or on stage or in interviews because you have been on a healing journey and you feel like your story could inspire others, you'll find that this workshop will make you a better writer, and it will give you the opportunity to work through the healing so that you don't break down. Like I always tell people, if you're coming to speak at one of our events, I don't want you sharing stuff on stage that isn't healed. We're not supposed to use the stage as personal therapy. But when we have healed sufficiently and we're ready to share, this writing workshop will really teach you how to become an effective storyteller, to really move and inspire your audiences. Awesome. And yes, Frank, I do also offer one-to-one coaching and mentoring. You can visit my website, and there's a link there about booking personal sessions with me. Happy to do that. I love it. I love working with people one-on-one, basically after I got over the resistance to it and embraced it. But that's me. I'm on the hero's journey as well. I had to fully open up and say yes to the call of who I really am in this world as a healer. And now on this next level of my journey, facilitating psychedelic assisted therapy. It's been a journey. So I'm happy to support you in any way. So you can visit andreapennington.com for personal one-on-one sessions. So this is just kind of wrapping up what the Hero Collective is, what it's all about. What other questions do you have? Is there anything else I can answer for you? You can go and actually sign up as of today. One of the things that Nicholas Haynes from the 5 Institute shared with me is for the last several years, he's been doing something called kindness pricing. Nick's values and mission is all around kindness and creating a more kind world. And basically what you'll see is that there are 3 tiers of pricing available. We've made this membership so affordable that everyone can start. So if money is an issue, our first level is the Kind to You pricing, and that's just $8 a month. You still get everything in the collective at a price that is kind to you. If you're a little more well-resourced, then for $25 a month, that allows us to make a little bit of money, and you get the full benefits of the course. If you are very prosperous right now, you can choose the higher level, and that is the kindness together. And that means that we can sponsor someone into the collective, and we still make a bit of money. Of course, if you are in need of a scholarship, that's why we have these 3 tiers. You can send an email and let us know what you think you would get out of the Hero Collective and why you would like the scholarship. So that's our commitment, to make this accessible for everyone. All right. So any questions about the Hero Collective or about what I've shared? Wonderful to see you, Kaya. Grateful to have you. So you're still looking forward to the course. On the kindness pricing, I have 3 options. Are we able to switch between them during the 12 months, depending on our financial standing? Yes. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Absolutely. So for anyone out there, wherever you are right now financially, maybe you're in the flow and you want to sponsor someone and come in at $35 a month, that would be great. Go for it. Or it's $33 a month. That would be awesome. But if something changed, things happen and you wanted to drop to the $8 level, or vice versa, you start at $8 a month and you want to jump up, all you have to do is send an email and we can make that change for you. And I'm just really excited by that, because for some people, doing my private workshops in the past has been cost prohibitive or location sensitive, because I do them here in the south of France or in Iceland or Denmark. But this is a way that you get to work with me and a group of beautiful people. And they are beautiful, I promise you. And you can see, I would read Kaya's beautiful testimonial, but I'll send that out in an email. You'll see that people keep coming back to the course. It's not like you do it once. I mean, I wish I could just do my healing journey once and be done. But we can continue to grow and evolve, and our students continue to come back and back. Macarena, hola, preciosa. Nice to see you as well. How long will be the live sessions? The live sessions will generally be an hour and a half. You know me, I like to teach, but that's why we have the videos in teaching mode separate. Being live and being able to coach and facilitate and have other people share will be reserved to the live sessions, except for, of course, when our guest lecturers are with us, the Global Luminaries. So you can plan on an hour and a half to up to 2 hours, and that will be on the 4th Tuesday of the month. So we are starting here in November, so that is what? November 20, forgive me for not knowing, November 23rd. So we're starting November 23rd at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. That's 6 o'clock p.m. here in Central Europe time. And I will be kicking it off on our first session. In the next week, for those of you who have already joined, you will start to see lessons getting unlocked. We start off with the hero's journey. In month 1, I really want you to understand, for those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to show you. Perhaps you've already seen the lesson that I did on the hero journey, the hero's journey by our dear friend, the dearly departed Joseph Campbell. So here's the hero's journey. There's 12 steps that I teach on. And we go from the call to adventure, where you're feeling that first rumbling, that calling, to the initiation. That's when you cross over the threshold, you say yes, and you have a mentor. That's me and the other mentors in our collective. And then part 3 of the hero's journey is the transformation. And this is where you really get to flex, exercise, slay some demons, rise from the ashes. And then part 4 of the hero's journey is the hero's return. So we go through that in month 1 of the Heroes Collective. Now, of course, there's a lot of stuff you'll be doing, a lot of the self-discovery work to uncover your tendencies, to uncover your strengths. There'll be lots of writing prompts for that as well. And then we will move into the Cornerstone Process. And that's that 5-step process that I described that's from the Real Self Love Handbook. We will go through what those 5 stages are. So you might be entering and already be healed from some of your issues, and you're just ready to up-level as the hero of your life. Totally fine. It doesn't matter what stage you're in. You're going to come to appreciate all of it. If you're already healed, you're going to be able to look back on the stuff you've overcome, and that's going to give you even more strength. Remember, the HERO acronym, the E stands for self-efficacy, which is tied to our sense of confidence and resourcefulness. So all of that is woven into the program. Make sense? All right. And what else? What other questions do you have? If you miss a session, no problem. If you join in the middle, no problem. If you had to stop and pause your membership, no problem. Basically, we're not creating any problems. We're just going to help you get rid of the emotional baggage you've been carrying around. and liberate your inner hero or your inner warrior or your inner goddess or your inner artist, whatever it is you need to take yourself to that next level in life. So I am always very happy to connect with you as well. Shireen, who wrote in, let's see here. Wonderful to see me, and it's wonderful to have you here with us. You're welcome for my compassion with the pricing. In the psychedelic assisted therapy that I mentioned, do I facilitate treatment programs in one-to-ones or in groups? Yes, Shireen, in 2022, I and a colleague of mine, Dr. Jill Stocker, along with some other beautiful yogis and medicine women, I'm not going to name them until it's officially confirmed, but yes, for now, some of the sessions will be in North America, in California. We're doing everything by the book. We're only doing legal psychedelics. So in the United States, that includes ketamine for now. And in the countries where it's legal, we will offer the opportunity for facilitated group journeys. One-on-ones will also be available with other shamans if you were doing something like ayahuasca, magic mushrooms or psilocybin mushrooms. And when legal, we'll offer other things as they become available, such as MDMA. But for now, what's legal in the countries that we travel to are ayahuasca, psilocybin mushrooms, and ketamine. So we'll keep you posted. The first event, I think, is going to be spring of 2022. Next weekend, I am flying with Jill to Costa Rica to experience the sacred ceremonies there at Rhythmia Life Advancement. So, and Laura Ann, you're welcome. It is my honor to be helping. And Frank, what time will we be online? During the Hero Collective, the sessions will begin at 6 p.m., so 1800 hours here in Central Europe. That's Paris time. It only changes when there's daylight saving, as you probably are aware. Like this weekend, we have daylight saving happening in America. But by the time we start, November 23rd, it will be 1800 hours here, 6 p.m. France time. That's 9 a.m. on Tuesday for people on the west coast of the U.S. All right. Well, I would love to see you all in the Hero Collective. If you have further questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. I would love to hear from you. Any questions that you have, I'm always welcome to hear. I've been really enjoying the questions that I've gotten, and I've incorporated it all onto the page where you can find out more. I will pop it into, well, it's already in the description. Wherever you're watching the video, whether on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, if you look below, there's a bit.ly link, bit.ly/Hero Collective. And there you can find out all the information and go ahead and sign up. And I am going to give a gift to the first, I need to count how many copies I have. I'm going to say the first three. The first three people who join the collective, because we only launched it yesterday, I will send you an autographed copy of the Real Self Love Handbook or the Top 10 Traits of Highly Resilient People, autographed from me and sent with love from the south of France. So I will check to see enrollment. I would love to see you in the collective. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for all of the love and compassionate wishes to me and my family as we have been processing the transition of my mother. She is still so very much present with me, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I feel her. I have so many vivid dreams about her, like my mom is not gone. So for what that's worth, I thank you all for being just very generous and gracious as I have done my processing. All right? Thank you so very much for being here. I look forward to seeing you in the collective. And also be aware that the Real Self Love movement is still going strong. It's totally free, and that's on the second Tuesday of the month. The second Tuesday at the same time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, 6 o'clock at night for Central Europe. We go live in the Real Self Love movement, still taking you through practices from the Real Self Love Handbook, and I lead guided meditations. So that's next Tuesday on my birthday. November 9th is my birthday, and I will be celebrating with you in the Real Self Love Live. All right? So there is just so much love and joy and goodness for you here. All right? We're going to keep it moving. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of the positive energy and the good wishes. And I will see you next Tuesday in the Real Self Love Live, and then November 23rd for our first live session in the Hero Collective. Be well, my friends.